Your book got rejected, or you got a 1-star review on Amazon and you're struggling to understand why. Sound familiar? Because I have been there. I've been rejected a bazillion times. I had 10 books in 8 years that didn't go anywhere, but it turned out okay. If you're new to this channel, I'm Shirley Jump. I'm a New York Times, USA Today, Wall Street Journal bestselling author. I've sold 8 million copies worldwide, but I didn't start that way. I was rejected so much. And I realized as I kept getting rejected and rejected and rejected, that there were 3 key elements that kept me from selling. And once I figured out how to fix those, everything changed. The first reason a lot of people get rejected or get 1-star reviews is that you haven't figured out essentially what shelf your book sits on. People have to be able to know where your book is in order to buy it. If it is a genre-bending, 5 different kinds of timeline sort of book, it's really hard for a reader to put their mind around what this book is. I am not saying you can't do that. You can't take chances, or you can't bend different things and pull them together and do something unique. I think that is awesome. But you have to have a way for readers to understand what kind of experience they're going to get. That's what they really want to know. What is the experience going to be like when I read this book? And when you're sending it to an agent or editor, they're not thinking about, wow, this writing is really great. They're thinking, who do I sell this to and how do I sell it? The number one thing to remember when you go into traditional publishing is that you're not selling to the editor. You're selling to the sales department. The editor can love the book and think it is the best thing they've ever read. But if the sales department comes back and goes, I have no idea how we're going to get this into bookstores, how we're going to get booksellers invested in it, then they're not going to buy it, because it ultimately comes down to this is a business and people need to make money. So before you start writing or before you start packaging your book to sell it, really figure out who your audience is and how they're going to find it. The second thing that was the reason I was primarily rejected over and over and over again was pages are not delivering on the promise. And what that means is that the beginning is where you're saying to the reader, this is the ride I'm taking you on. You're going to be scared, or you're going to cry, or you're going to do this, or you're going to do that. This is what you're going to get for investing your $5.99 or $15.99 in my book. If it doesn't deliver that, then the reader feels ripped off. They get really irritated and they don't want to read any more of the book. So you have to deliver a good reading experience from page 1 to the very last page. Now, does every single book do that every single time? No. I just read a book by one of my very favorite authors, and it was a sequel to another book, and I was frankly disappointed because I didn't think that it delivered the same compelling experience that the first book in the series did. That doesn't mean I'm never reading this author again, because all the other books have been outstanding. We all have bad days. We all have moments when the book doesn't live up to the promise. But by and large, what you write has to deliver on the promise. And the promise is connection and emotion and some kind of catharsis, whether that's a happily ever after for a romance or whether that's the bad guy is finally caught in the end. That's what the reader is looking for, and it needs to deliver that. That means creating an emotional connection with the reader. Something I talk about in this video here and lots of other videos. I talk about it so much because that's where I see most books fall down. If you look at my Fix My Story series or any of the others where I talk about what goes into a great book, it's that emotional connection. They have to care before they're going to turn the page. It doesn't mean that you have to make readers weep with every single page. It just means that they need to feel like they connect with the characters. The third reason books don't sell to publishers or agents or sometimes even readers is kind of a harsh truth. There's no urgent reason why it has to be this book right now. There are 30 million books out there, maybe 40 million by the time I make this video. So there's a lot of books vying for your attention. If you could see this office behind me, it is stacks and stacks of books. Just saying, I read a lot too. And I need to look at these whole stacks of books, right? This is just one stack. And say, why am I going to read this book right now at this moment in time? You've got to give the reader a reason to read your book as opposed to Frida McFadden's or Gillian Flynn's or Ruth Ware's or any other of the authors out there that are in that space. The Ruth Ware's of the world are a predictable experience for the reader. They know what they're going to get. They've read a lot of their books. They've been bestsellers for a while. And so that is a book that is more likely to sell than book by Jane Doe author. So how do you get above the Ruth Wares of the world with your book. There's something I've talked about in a lot of different videos called a high concept. And that is when you twist something that has already been done and turn it into your own version of very cool and very well done. You're not just aiming for competent and well written here, you're aiming for marketable. It's a book that feels good, alive, urgent. I've got to read it. It looks so good. And there are, yes, a lot of factors that go into that, like the title and the marketing and the cover. But ultimately, it comes down to what's between the back cover and the front cover. If that's really good and urgent and well done, the reader will read it. So think about your market and think about what would make you be a more compelling read than any of the other people in your space. How are you going to take and raise the stakes or increase the emotion or make this book a lot more taut and tense and really compelling to turn every page? Here's the thing about rejection. It's not necessarily a reflection on your talent. I know it feels like it is. I've been there. 250 rejections, remember? But it's really not. It's a lot about right place, right time, right market, right phase of the moon, and right product. This applies to indie authors as much as it does to traditional authors because you are marketing to a voracious reading public that has 30, 40 million other books to choose from. So you've got to give the reader a reason to read this book this time, this moment. And if people do reject it or do give you a 1-star review, come back to, did I deliver what I promised in the back cover copy or in the query letter or in that first page? Did I start losing the plot halfway through? Did I really not put the emotional component in there? All those are hard layers to write. This is not an easy thing, but there are definitely ways that you can learn how to do it. I got it right here in this video here where I talk about the CARE method. That's a really easy step-by-step method with a handout where you can learn how to do C-A-R-E really, but A-B-C-D. Like this goes this, goes this, goes this, boom, and then it goes again. That's an easy method of fixing a lot of the problems that you might have with your book. Tell me in the comments, what's going on with your submissions? Are you getting rejected? Are you afraid to submit at all? Because I totally get that. Or are you really worried that your book is never going to be good enough? Because that is also a valid concern. It should not stop you from writing and submitting though. Don't feel like you have to have a perfect book before you submit it. It will never be perfect. The writer you are today is not the writer you will be tomorrow, nor is it the writer you were yesterday. Every day that you spend watching a video like this, working on your book, really taking it to the next level, is a day you become a better writer. So write the best book you can possibly write at this moment in time. Let it out into the world. And then, and here's the key to not obsessing over it, write another one. The way that you stop obsessing over what happens with this book is to start focusing on a new book. It's kind of like getting a new puppy when you have a bunch of dogs. Like the new puppy's the cutest thing and you just want to spend time with it. Think of the new book as your new puppy and go ahead and put a lot of effort into that and apply everything you learned on the last book. In the meantime, don't forget to like and subscribe. And if you know how to, because I don't, but I appreciate it if you do, can you hype this video so that other writers see it? I literally have no idea how that works on YouTube. Drop any troubles that you're having with your book in the comments because a lot of times I do question videos where I compile a bunch of questions and put them into one video so that you get your questions answered. I appreciate you watching and I will see you on the other side of the page.